Hi, my name's Keith and I'm known as the Florida Stone Man, and today I'm going to be talking to you all about spiritual upgrades and sleep. This is kind of when the sun goes down, so it might get dark really quickly, and I missed some of the clouds in this video because I was taking some pictures out here, but this seems like a very important topic because this happens to a lot of people who I help open their gifts, or a lot of people in general who are opening their gifts, whether it's on their own or through the help of someone else, or a crystal they just get from me at floridastoneman.com. But in this video, for the people who are extremely spiritual gifted, and I might make a spiritually gift opening video to tell how, I'm not going to say how gifted you are because that's not fair. Everyone's really gifted, but it's in different places. Some people are just not gifted in other places versus other people. For example, someone who is this is actually not relating to spiritual gifts, but someone who's very, very good at playing basketball. Look at my example. At playing basketball. That's basketball? Don't laugh at that. I have one hand, but I don't know how to do a basketball impression. So someone who's doing very good at playing basketball might be rotten at football. Like they'll throw the ball, hit the ground, it'll just not be good, and they'll be like, I guess I'm not good at sports. No, that just wasn't your sport. But you can get good at it with time, and don't expect it to be quick. Because if you're naturally good in one place, you might not naturally be good in another place, and it just takes time. And that's the wonderful part about things. As you develop your gifts, they'll open and they'll sprout and they'll come about. But you have to do it correct in a light-fulfilled way. So you do it through God. You ask God for help opening your gifts, and as guidance comes to you, your gifts will gradually open. Now, this is awesome, and this is cool, and this is wonderfully amazing, because I'm very happy to teach about this topic. People who have been getting necklaces, bracelets, just any form of jewelry from me, because when you actually wear the gemstones, they're doing about 100 times more than what a gemstone does when they're at home. But when you're wearing crystal jewelry, I call it ticks, because it ticks like a clock, like tick, 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 tick. So as the clock ticks, so does your gift. So they'll tick, tick, tick. And spiritual awakening is in levels. It's in stages. So people are like, well, I thought my gift was already open. And that's a really good question. Yes, your gift is opening, but it has levels. I just explained this to someone recently, and I thought this was an amazing topic. So there's levels to your gift. So basically, you're on level 1. After level 1, you encounter the reward. So let's just say you beat the dungeon boss, and the rewards are good. But now you proceed on to level 2. You go up the staircase, and you're like, okay, this is a whole set of challenges again to open your gift. You complete. Yeah, there's a moth just flew into my face. But you complete the gifts, and there's been a lot of bees just flying into my hair and just flying all up to me. Well, I talked about what that meant. That's Archangel Veracule, but the thing about when your gifts open, it's level. So you'll get to one level, you'll open that, you'll get to the next level, you'll open that. Sometimes one level can take a very long time, and the moth just flew on my phone. Hello, moth. So I'm looking at a moth on my phone crawling near the camera. Okay, so I might move out of this area because there's a lot of moths here. But when it comes to your spiritual gift set, it takes time, it takes patience, but you can speed it up with crystals. Now, as your gifts continue to open, and it depends on what you're doing. If you're doing interactive meditations, slow meditations, etc., things will be opening. Things will be popping open. But you don't see it. That's the thing about the spiritual world. You can't see it. You can't see your progress because your gifts are popping open. So one major way in particular that you know your gifts is opening is insomnia. And it's not a regular kind of insomnia. It's actually a spiritual insomnia. It's not something physical where you treat the physical and the thing physical gets better. You'll take sometimes like valerian root, which combats insomnia, and it won't necessarily get rid of the insomnia. It'll make it better, but it's a different kind of insomnia. Usually because when we go to sleep is when the most upgrades occur. You get put on the frequency of the heavenly realm. Above the firmament, they don't sleep. They always move around and party, right? They're having festivities and activities, and things are amazing and wonderful in the heavenly realm. And the same thing when it applies to our spiritual gifts. Sometimes that'll keep us up. Now, what happens when we sleep? We do a lot when we sleep, but no one really knows that. We go other places. For example, I can't really say where I go when I sleep. It's usually libraries and stuff like that, but very specific libraries, if you know what I'm referencing to. But it's awesome when we go to places when we sleep. We can open books and we can uncover things and read stuff. And when we get back to our physical body, and it might feel like a very short period of time, but we did a whole lot. And that's where our intuition lies within the same day, like the same exact day. You'll just feel all these, like, you might feel tired. You might wake up at a certain time every night. Oh, that's a giant one as well. That's an amazing topic. So if you wake up at the same time every single night, guess what? That means you just got back to your body, or you just got back from a certain a realm, a dimension, and that's the time that you got back. It might have taken you a certain amount of time to travel. So let's say you wake up at 3 a.m. every single night. It could be a good dimension, it could be a bad dimension, depending on your spiritual protections. If you got a black tourmaline necklace from floridastoneman.com, then you probably have a very strong spiritual protection. But outside of that, if you're protected and you're getting back to your body and you're waking up at a very specific time, this is upgrades. But you have to distinguish from when it's an upgrade versus it's something physical. For example, if your kidneys, liver, if they need to be cleaned, like take milk thistle, that'll get rid of that. I can't really teach about physical topics, but with insomnia, it's really easy to get rid of. Valerian root, magnesium glycinate specifically, but my channel's a disclaimer. I'm not a medical doctor. This is a spiritual channel, but treat the physical before you blame it on the spiritual. But when you're opening your gifts, it's a pleasant thing, but the insomnia can drive people mad sometimes. So the insomnia will have you up for a day. But that's one reason I don't tell you guys to get Herkimer Diamond. It can really ruin some of you, because Herkimer Diamond will have you having insomnia, especially when you keep it near your head. Especially when the Herkimer Diamond's on the higher frequency realm. It'll just keep you up, because that frequency doesn't sleep, and neither will you. So there's different kinds of spiritual insomnia, but if you're wondering what's going on, is you're getting upgraded so much to the point where it's disrupting your spiritual body is disrupting your physical body, and it's causing you to not sleep. It's not fun, but there are certain ways around it, which I'll teach in this video as well. So yeah, I'll teach them right now. You can use valerian root. You have to check all the certain physical symptoms to see if it's not physical. But when it happens, it's gonna sound weird. A mechanism that you can do is when you wake up from your insomnia, just rest your body so that anything that's going on spiritually to the physical world can finish. So don't get up and start doing stuff. Don't be active. Just kind of lay there as if pretend you're asleep, and the downloads will occur. You might be kind of tired, but then it'll go away after a few days, maybe up to a week. Sometimes it's 2 weeks. It depends on the person, but because that level is very high up. Like when you get to a level of atmosphere, it's like your head's popping, and it takes you a second to adjust. The same thing applies. So there's levels to this. So what kind of gifts are opening when you're not sleeping? Like, what is that? Yeah, this bush is full of flies and moths and crickets. The crickets get quiet when I come out here. I guess they don't want me to step on them, but if I see one more fly, I'll just go over there. But that's the thing. There's levels to this, and you have to expect it to be a little bit disruptive. But the one thing you can't do is panic, because the second you panic after you have insomnia, it'll actually subtract from your spiritual gifts and make everything much worse. Also, certain things that happen when we sleep and we're getting corrected is we're getting corrected. So any kind of bad habits, bad behavior, what'd I say? I'm moving over here now because the flies are coming out because it's nighttime. But bad habits, bad behavior, and yes, there's hotels in the background, and they play music, and they cook food, and it smells good, and maybe they'll help me go over here as well. Okay, cool. So basically with insomnia, that's a major thing. So spirituality and sleep, sometimes your sleep might be amazing. That's actually a whole different part of when your spiritual gifts are opening and awakening, is that your sleep is overly amazing. Like, you just feel like staying asleep sometimes, and people don't really notice that and how that relates to upgrading gifts. Of course, spirituality and gifts opening, you're gonna have dreams, you're gonna have visions. Don't scratch your head right when you wake up, because you can scratch some of the dreams away, and you can scratch some of the visions away. Why does it do that? It's because the fingertips have a very specific energy. Your crown chakra has only so much saved after you wake up. When you take the energy from your fingertips that have been just sitting all night and just full of energy, and you scratch the crown chakra, it'll make things very it'll just scratch kind of the memories away. So if you have a nightmare, you can do that sometimes. Scratch it. How do you know if your sleep is bad versus good when it comes to spiritual gifts and spiritual awakening? If you have if there's nothing going on with nightmares, nothing going on with sleep terrors, etc. So as planets change, because the planets will be a giant mechanism in why you guys are not sleeping sometimes. Sometimes it's just that, it's just the planets. Just wait a week or two, 3 weeks, but just do the stuff in the physical world to counter it out. So you can burn agrimony, valerian, do spiritual protections, but also work with the physical as well. Make sure you're not having too much lights or too much blue light from your phone on before you fall asleep. So it combines the physical aspects of the physical world and the spiritual world. I'd like to talk to you guys more about gifts now. So what kind of gifts are there? There's the clairvoyant gifts, there's the clairaudient gifts, there's the clairaudient gifts, ears and throat. Clairvoyance is third eye. Crown chakra is claircognizance, which is very heavily influenced by sleep and downloads. Sometimes you guys can't have an idea unless God gives it to you, which is the most important thing, is to talk to God, because you're not going to have spiritual knowledge by yourself. The spiritual knowledge that comes from enemies, or the enemy and his adversaries, his soldiers, are knowledge that's kind of useless. It'll get you to a certain point, but it won't do anything. It's like it's walking up to a door, knowing how to open it, and then not knowing what to do when you're inside. That's kind of the analogy for any kind of, because some people who are dark and opening their gifts, those people are heavily impacted as well. But I'm going to talk about this right now. How, when it comes to spiritual gift sets and you awakening, if you have energy vampires around you, your sleep's going to be terrible. But it's going to be a different kind of terrible. You'll wake up and you'll have less energy than when you woke up, than when you just fell asleep. That's how you know someone around you is pulling energy from you. You can usually feel it, because when you're near that, like anywhere, if you're ever near that person, you'll start to feel kind of sick, and your nose will bother you. Things will just be off. It just won't feel right. When your nose bothers you, it's usually your angels trying to get your attention, or their nose will bother them. It's usually your angels trying to get their attention because they couldn't grab yours. But there are several things you can do to open your spiritual gifts. Maybe I might make a video very soon talking about how to open your spiritual gift sets. Another way, I'll talk about that right now. If you have to meditate consistently, the most important thing in the entire world is talking to God. If you're trying to open your gifts without talking to God, that will never happen. It might accidentally happen to a degree, but it'll never fully happen. He is the one who gives you the gifts. You don't give yourself the gifts. The gifts are not even yours. Your gifts basically have an energy behind them, which is your guides and God. Most importantly, God. God comes first. Your guides, angelic guides, spirit guides, sometimes are good at passing along clairvoyance or being able to channel certain things. Angelic guides, everything, literally everything. They're very good at a giant set of gifts. And spiritual gifts is something you'll have to research on your own, because you can be someone who, when you go up to a plant, you can feel the plant's energy, and you can have a download just from touching the plant. You can feel like, okay, and this may sound ridiculous, there are certain things. You can pick up a footstep on the beach and feel the footstep, and you'll have visions of who pops in your head, who's from the footstep, how many people have crossed through the sand, where these people have went, where people are coming and going from. Do they feel, what do they think of the weather? There's a spiritual gift set with telepathy, which I feel like making a video on telepathy as well. Not a very interesting gift, because most people are thinking absolutely not a lot. I mean, I'm talking about people in society who are just going with the flow and just being sheeped along. It's a good portion of the world is just going with the flow of things, and they don't have a lot in their minds. I'm not calling them dumb. It's just a lot of people are not thinking about things actively. And that's with people who are spiritually awakened, is because they think about everything actively to the point where they feel like a pariah. They feel like they're an outcast, because they think their way of thinking is just a little scary and unusual. Wait, you're trying to talk to me about spiritual stuff? That stuff's demonic. And it's ironic for the people who always are calling everything demonic, but they don't know what the word means, and they actually have demons on them feeding off their energy because of their actions. Bingo. But another thing, guys, you can do too is watch some of my past videos, but you'll see a lot of things go on with your spiritual gifts gradually opening. You starting to see auras, because auras are very interesting to start seeing, and when you start seeing them, you don't stop seeing them unless you tell yourself to stop seeing them. But I wonder if that might be a good video to talk about next, is spiritual gift sets and what gifts that you guys might have. Some people are like, okay, I have all the gifts, but you can have all the gifts, and everyone can have all the gifts, but you can have, okay, what's a good example? You can be good at everything. You can be good at making jewelry. You can be good at construction. You can be good at making quilts. You can be good at being a mechanic. You can be good at designing race cars. But if you're doing everything at once, then you won't be good at anything. You'll just be okay at everything, and that just won't really count for much. That's the truth. So specialize on one thing at once. For example, if you want to open your clairvoyance, focus on your clairvoyance. Just start seeing the aura around plants. Start seeing the extra fog that occurs. Start seeing I don't know if you guys just saw that. Just a moth flying up in my nose, but I mean, I'm not even, when I see these insects, I know exactly what they are. They're a certain frequency of energy. So, and one thing that's a little sneak thing about insects is they actually have the frequency of a lot of plants, and plants are alive. So that's to get you guys thinking. But there's a whole bunch of gifts out here. If your sleep's being interfered with by your gifts, don't panic, because the panicking makes it worse. It'll go away with time, but make sure everything in the physical world checks out so that the spiritual world is not the thing to blame. If you have any questions, ask them in the comment section. Until then, I'll see you guys next time. Ciao!